Ray and I, lifelong friends bonded by our love for the outdoors, embarked on our monthly camping trip deep in the heart of the crisp, with the scent of pine and the sounds of nature. As we realized, we were lost. No matter how we turned, we returned to the same. And I couldn't shake the feeling that we weren't alone. Suddenly, the looped path leads back to an abandoned campsite. The tents are torn and scattered, with signs of a struggle, but no trace of the campers. The fire pit is cold, the food is gone, and the equipment is scattered. The air is thick with a sense of foreboding. There were 3 tents. We decided to stay the night, hoping to make sense of our situation in the morning. Using the flashlights on our phones, we set up a makeshift shelter from branches and torn tent pieces. We huddle in our sleeping bags for warmth, sharing our dwindling trail mix supplies and energy bars. As night falls, the darkness seems to press in around us, making every rustle and creak sound more ominous. Our breath clouds the air between us, and I can feel the weight of our shared fear pressing down on my chest. Throughout the night, I'm plagued by nightmares of a torn and terrified, only to find Ray watching me with wide, worried eyes. He offers me food and water, but I'm too shaken to eat. The sky begins to lighten, and we both know we must escape this nightmare. When the sun finally breaks through the trees and stretch our stiff limbs, the abandoned campsite still looms before us, and I can't shake the feeling that it's somehow connected to our predicament. Ray suggests we search the area more thoroughly, hoping to find some more clues as to what happened or how to return to civilization. We divide the task. I head south, following a creek that might lead us out of the woods, while Ray investigates the surrounding hills, hoping to find a trail or my boots sinking into the soft earth and the sounds of the forest echoing all around me. The air is thick with the scent of damp leaves and earth, and the occasional bird call pierces the silence. As I walk, I can't help but feel a growing sense of unease. Despite my best efforts, I approach it. The tattered tents and scattered equipment look more ominous, as if they're taunting me. I push forward, determined to find a way out of this nightmare. After hours of aimless wandering, I finally catch a glimpse of movement in the distance. My heart leaps into my throat as I realize it's Ray returning from his search, his clothes torn and dirty. I hurry to meet him, relieved to see a familiar face. "Ray, I can't believe it," I begin, shaking my head. "I kept looping back to that campsite no matter which way I went. It's like there's some kind of force keeping me here." He nods in agreement. Says, defeated. We sit down beside each other, our backs against a fallen tree. "Look, we can't stay here. We are running out of our food supply." "I know," I reply, "but I don't know where else to go. Every time we try to leave, we just end up back here." I gesture toward the abandoned campsite, feeling a chill run down my spine. Suddenly, Ray jumps up and heads towards something he sees in one of the tents. "Wait, Ray, what are you doing?" I asked, scrambling to down and picks up a can of beans. "Look," he says, holding it up for me to see. "There's still some food here. Maybe we can find more." With renewed hope, we search the tents more carefully, scavenging for anything edible. After a few minutes, we uncover a small stash of canned goods hidden under some torn-up sleeping bags. Our hearts lift when we realize we may just have enough, at least for a few more days. But as we sit there, eating our cold, rationed meal, I can't shake the feeling that something... The shadows that dance across the trees take on a sinister quality, as if they're mocking us. "Thanks for doing the fire," I say to Ray. Ray looked at me with immense confusion. I didn't start it. I thought you did. What? No, when I went to go get some wood because I was going to start one, I returned and the fire was already going, I reply. And I went to look for more briefly before Ray says, "You know what? I probably did start it. I can tell that Ray doesn't believe that at all. We both know that something isn't right. The fire keeps going against all logic. It's almost as if it's mocking us. I shiver, wrapping my arms around myself for warmth. Shadows seemed to grow darker. I couldn't help but think about the fact that we had run out of water. We had just filled our big water bottles at the Phillips station we found on our way in. But we had only planned to camp for 2 days, and we're going into the third. Before I knew it, I was fast asleep next to the fire, wrapped in my sleeping bag. I was awoken in the middle of the night by someone running off. I bolted up and woke Ray up after turning my flashlight on. I explained what I heard, so we investigated the in my ears. Suddenly, I tripped over something hard and fell to the ground. I reached down and felt something cold, realizing it was a human hand. I screamed in terror and fell back, colliding with Ray. We scrambled away from the body, our eyes wide with fear. The body was that of a man dressed in rags, his skin pale and cold. His eyes were wide open, staring at nothing, and his mouth was frozen in a silent scream. We couldn't help but notice the strange symbol carved into his back. Ray reached out and tentatively touched the body, feeling for it. Whispered, his voice shaking. I couldn't take my eyes off the strange symbol on its back. What does it mean? I asked, my voice barely audible. Ray shrugged, looking just as frightened as I felt. I don't know. Maybe it's some kind of mark, a sign that something or someone is watching us. My heart raced at the thought. But why would someone carve it into their back? I asked, still staring at the cold, dead body. Maybe it's a cult thing, Ray offered, his voice barely above a whisper. Maybe they do that to mark their members or something. I shuddered at the thought. But why would they leave them here to die? And why are they after us? Ray did. I could tell he was just as frightened as I was, but he was also trying to process what was happening. As I panicked, I started trying to find someone to blame. My eyes lock on Ray, and I accuse him of being responsible for all of this without thinking. You did this, Ray. You brought us here, I shout, pointing my finger at him while sobbing. Ray looked shocked and hurt by my accusation. What? How could you say that? Any more than you did. Before I can say anything else, he lunges at me, pushing me to the ground. I scream as he pins me down, his hand shaking with rage. You don't know what you're talking about, he shouts. My neck. My vision blurs as I struggle to breathe, and I can feel the blood rushing to my head. I kick and claw at him, but he's too strong. He's been my friend for so long. But I don't recognize the person holding me down like this. The weight of his body on top of me feels like an anchor, dragging me down into the cold, hard earth. I can taste the dust and dirt in my mouth as I gasp for air, but it's no use. My lungs burn with every shallow breath I manage to take. I couldn't take it anymore. Feeling around me for something to defend myself with, I gripped a rock and plunged it. Immediately falls to the floor. My heart is racing, blood pounding in my ears. I stare at the lifeless body, unable to comprehend. Ray's body twitches, and I'm suddenly filled with dread. I reach out to touch him, feeling for a pulse, but it's already gone. Tears stream down my face as I can't believe I just killed my best friend. frick. I struggle to reach my feet, and my legs feel weak and unsteady. I look around frantically, trying to figure out what to do next. The forest is eerily silent, as if holding its breath, waiting for me to make a move. The body of my best friend lies motionless on the ground, his lifeless eyes staring up at the sky. I can't believe I just took his life. Tears stream down my face as I stumble away from him, my hands shaking uncontrollably. Myself after this. Panicked, I ran. I have only a close in on me, trapping me in a nightmarish maze. Whenever I think I've found a way out, I return to where I started. The trees are conspiring against me, trying to keep. My panic-stricken heart pounds against my rib cage as I sprint through the underbrush, my lungs burning with every breath. The forest seems to close in on me, trapping me in its nightmarish maze. I try to remember what happened, but the memories are jumbled and confused. It's as if I'm watching a horror movie, where the main character can't quite piece together the events leading up to the gruesome climax. Fueled by panic, I hastily buried Ray's body with a makeshift grave, my mind reeling at the funeral where I sobbed to Ray and apologized for what I had done. I remember safe and secure in his presence. After a little under an hour of mourning, I started to remember the dead body we found in one of the tents. He also deserves a funeral, even if I don't know him. I gather supplies to bury him. As I work, my mind drifts back to remembering the first time I saw him. He was just lying there, his lifeless eyes staring up at the sky. Then I pictured Ray. I had never seen anybody die before. I approached the body, preparing to lift at my knees. As I begin, it's Ray. My heart drops in disbelief as I stare at my friend, who I had just murdered and buried less than an hour ago. How is that possible? There's no way he was unburied. I was with him the whole time. I sprint back to Ray's grave, shaking with fear. I frantically dig through the Again, how the fuck is that possible? Once again, defeated, I return to the fire pit. It was not lit this time. I attempt to start it, but my hands are too shaky, and my mind is racing a mile a minute. After giving up on that, I took a swig from my water bottle, not remembering that It's been almost 12 hours without water, and my body was feeling strange from what I had assumed was a lack of water, but my anxiety had gone down dramatically. Is this what happens before someone dies? I say to myself as I fall into a deep sleep. When I wake up, I'm in a hospital room. The sunlight streaming through the window is unnaturally bright. I see the figure sitting in the chair beside my bed. It's the forest ranger. His face is pale and drawn, and there's a look of exhaustion in his eyes. As if sensing my gaze, he turns to meet my eyes. "How are you feeling?" he asks softly. Confused, I manage to croak. What happened? The forest ranger takes a deep breath before answering. You were found exhaustion. The medics say you There was an investigation. We found the body of your friend Ray buried nearby. The medical examiner determined that he'd been dead for several hours before you were found. Remembering what I did to Ray made me feel immense guilt. What happened out there? I asked. The ranger explained that I would need to wait for officers to come and take my story. For the entire day, I spent time with doctors, nurses, and the cops explaining what had happened, admitting to killing Ray, the loop we couldn't get out of, the dead body, and the mysterious sounds around. They said they had no choice but to prosecute me for the murder of Ray. The next 4 years were spent in trial and the authorities investigating. It turns out that the forest we were in was occult territory. They call themselves the Cult of Fear. Apparently, that would cause fear and anxiety and could make people feel trapped or stuck in a loop. I guess the whole thing with the cult is that they would sacrifice the people who were full of fear. They still don't know why or what the motive is, but they have found a couple of members who claim that the cult moved. So, this is my story. I was able to post bond, so I had time to collect my thoughts and tell my side of the story. Tomorrow is sentencing, and I have all of my affairs in order, expecting to for the rest of my life.